Okay. Yes, ma'am. Pull it down. I always have trouble with mics, don't I? Okay. I think everybody's having too good a time to start. Huh? Oh, that one already says a minute after. Okay. Look at that one back there. Okay, yeah. Well, that's the one I see, so I thought I better get started. Well, you guys want to go ahead and start? Maybe you can get out a minute or two earlier. Okay, we'll go ahead and start. Okay, Kathy, would you pray for this service tonight?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing each and every person here together in this time. Please guide the lesson, Lord, and open our ears and allow us to help others and do as you will. In your name, amen.
Amen. Well, the Church of the Nazarene is still alive and well, and people are still being called into missions in various areas of the world. And I want to start out with a short video to let you know what some of the things that are recently happening. Do you have that one? No,
place on earth that's both a country and an entire.
It's the one that's facebook.com watch. Yeah.
Hi everybody, I want to give you an update of something amazing that's happening in the world right now in the Church of the Nazarene. As you know, in my role as Global Missions Director, one of the things that are really important to me is discovering, training and releasing new missionaries. So we have this event, it's happening right now in Kenya. It's called Discover, and it's a mobilization event. We have over 100 young adults aged between 18 and 26 from 43 countries, 10 of whom have never sent a missionary before for the Church of the Nazarene. Some are from creative access areas. It's been amazing. Every day I see videos of the worship, I hear the stories of preaching, of altar calls, and of lives being transformed by Jesus. This is a time for a call. This is their time. So will you pray for these young people at Discover in Kenya, that after they go home, God will make something powerful happen in their lives, that all the seed that has been sown will grow, and that they will give themselves to a life of service in the church. Some for short-term mission, some for local mission, but many for lifelong mission within the Church of the Nazarene. That's my prayer. Will you pray with me? And will you join with these young people who are taking the first steps on their call to follow Jesus into mission and ministry, to go together and to see that call become a reality, and for the whole world to be impacted by the young people of the Church of the Nazarene. Thanks for praying for me. Bless you wherever you are, and may God do amazing things in your life and in your church. We'll see you soon.
To me, that was such an encouraging thing to see that, young people are still being called into missions. And I was thinking, with our Easter offering, World Evangelism Fund, however you want to look at it, that who knows, maybe some of those funds might go to help some of those people. And that is I didn't get my little paper passed around that I wanted you to pray for this time, but that's one of the things I want you to pray for, that God would keep calling and use the people he calls and help them. And I forgot what that guy's name was. Maybe, did anybody remember what his name? Who? Wow, you guys are good. A lot of you got it. So anyway, that's one of the prayer things that I want you to pray for. And I do want to thank you so much for the Easter offering. I know sometimes I just feel like that's all I do is get up here and beg for money, but I guess somebody's got to do it. But I feel like it honestly is for a good cause, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel very strongly about it. Tonight, we're going to study about the country of Australia, and I've never really thought about Australia too much. And has anybody been there? Oh, you have, Phyllis? Tell me about it.
We went into Sydney and saw the sights there, and then we went up to, I think it's Cairn, where the,
I wouldn't know.
the coral reef is at.
Oh, yeah. that the Tasmanian devil? Is that what they call the Tasmanian devil? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then from there we went over to New Zealand.
Oh, good. You went by yourself or with a group?
No, with my sisters.
Nice.
There was 4 of us, so we just teamed up and, it's through Toby Tours and.
Well, I'm glad you get a deal to those if you enjoy traveling. So, anybody else been there? I never expected anybody to say they'd been there. Anybody else know anything much about Australia? What do you hear about?
All the animals are out to kill you.
We're gonna see some of them, but there's actually some nice ones too. But,
Well, the Central Park there's all desert. I mean, just around the edges where it's really inhabited.
well, I don't ever hear much in the world about violence and stuff there. I mean, we hear a lot of stuff in the world about violence and stuff going on. Have you guys heard much about Australia?
To begin with, that's where England sent all the prisoners.
Did somebody over here have something to say? I thought I heard. Okay. Well, and who's the famous person that you know from Australia? We are going to show some pictures. I was going to tell you all this stuff, but I thought you would enjoy seeing it, and they can tell you. Yes.
They had the small kangaroos that you could feed. But
Oh,
then we
Wallabies,
went,
wallabies, we had.
yeah, and then we went on a trip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that has been a long time ago. Do you have that video, Justin? Oh, there we go.
About Australia that'll leave you amazed everyday life. With over 50 million kangaroos hopping around, they outnumber humans in Australia. These marsupials come in various species, from the small wallabies to the mighty red kangaroos, truly embodying the Aussie spirit. The Sydney Opera House, an architectural marvel, took 14 years to complete. Its intricate design features over 1 million tiles meticulously placed on its iconic sails. This UNESCO World Heritage Site hosts over 1,500 performances annually, attracting audiences worldwide. The Great Barrier Reef, visible from space, spans an area larger than the United Kingdom. This natural wonder shelters a mesmerizing array of marine life, with over 1,500 species of fish and hundreds of coral types, making it a paradise for divers and nature enthusiasts. Uluru, a sacred site for the indigenous Australians, stands as the world's largest monolith. This breathtaking sandstone formation changes colors at sunrise and sunset, an awe-inspiring display of natural beauty and cultural significance. Australia's diverse climates range from tropical rainforests to arid deserts. This continent country experiences everything from scorching temperatures in the outback to snow-capped mountains in the southeast, offering a range of landscapes to explore. Australians have a unique palate, enjoying culinary delights like Vegemite, a yeasty spread, and meat pies. Seafood lovers revel in fresh catches like prawns and barramundi, showcasing the country's love for diverse and flavorful foods. Australians are passionate about sports. Cricket, rugby, and Australian rules football are integral to the national identity. Sporting events often unite communities, reflecting the country's competitive spirit and love for athleticism. Australia's landscapes encompass stunning contrasts, from the iconic red sands of the outback to the lush greenery of the Daintree rainforest and the pristine beaches of the Whitsundays. The country's beauty is as diverse as it is captivating. Australia's cultural fabric is woven from various ethnic backgrounds, making it a vibrant and inclusive society. Its multicultural essence embraces traditions, languages, and customs from around the globe, contributing to Australia's rich and evolving identity. Australia is home to some of the oldest living cultures globally. India is the only place on Earth that's both a country and an entire continent. No other landmass can claim that. Surrounded by ocean, It's the sixth largest country in the world at 2.97 million square miles. And here's where it gets bizarre. Australia has more wild camels roaming its deserts than Saudi Arabia. 80% of Australia's animals exist nowhere else on the planet. Kangaroos, koalas, wombats, platypuses, all exclusive to Australia. You can't find them wild anywhere else. And those top 10 deadliest snakes in the world? Australia has every single one of them. The scale is insane. Sydney on the east coast is closer to New Zealand than to Perth on the west. Flying across the country takes as long as flying from London to Egypt. Australia has over 10,000 beaches lining its coastline. If you visited a new beach every single day, it would take 27 years to see them all. And the craziest twist? Australia is the only continent without an active volcano. Yet it sits on Uluru, the world's largest single rock formation. Which country next?
Okay, that's it. Okay, now that we know what Australia is more a little bit of like, let's see.
Just to interrupt you a minute.
Yes,
We went into that opera house,
did you?
that big bridge that they showed.
Uh-huh.
There's a walking thing that you can walk up over there, over the top of that bridge. I didn't do it, but some of them
I probably wouldn't either.
went up there, or guide or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, he went up there.
I bet that was unique to see though, wasn't it? So, oh, okay, so we got a lot more then, okay. I was telling you about the wildlife, let me see. That one venomous snake, it can kill up to 100 people, fully grown men at one time. So, yeah. But where I was reading somewhere, it says unless you really are bothering them, most of the time they don't bother you and stuff. So if you see a spider, just get away. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to tell you some of the things. This was amazing to me, that some of the things that were invented in Australia. And does anybody know some of the things that were invented in Australia? The what?
Boomerang.
Yeah. And do you know why they originally used the boomerang? To hunt with, and a lot of times to cut down trees and stuff. It used to be really sharp, and as I was watching some of them when I studied, they really know how to throw their boomerangs and stuff. I've seen people, with other people have them, and I don't think us Americans are very good with boomerangs. But ultrasound was invented over there. And Vegemite, I wasn't even sure what Vegemite is. Is that food they was talking about? Is that what it is? Okay. Have you heard of it? You don't like it?
I've never had it, but it's a yeasty paste that they put on sandwiches.
It didn't look good to me. Yeah, I thought so too. And it said the tank, and it's not capital, so what does that mean, the tank? Does anybody know what that means? It just says the tank. But it's not capital, so I don't know. But football was started over there. The refrigerator, prepaid postage, the black box on airplanes was invented there. Lawnmowers with engine. I just heard Kurt talking about mowing there. Smoke alarms, aspirin, pacemaker, penicillin. All these were invented over there in Australia. In 1902, Australia is the second country to allow women to vote. So, and one of the other amazing facts, not a good fact, is that out of its population, 26 million people, which is not, it's like 14, let's see. Well, I can't say those big numbers, but anyway, are obese in Australia, and I never knew that, but it's actually killing people because it's such a problem there, and so a lot of people, instead of dying from other things, are dying from the effects of obesity. The minimum wage, and this was about 3 or 4 years ago, over there was $21.38. How would you like to get a job, Fallon, paying $21.38 at minimum? But that in the United States at that time it was $5.15 when it was 20 some over there. They're also very fond of gambling, so it's known as one of the biggest places of gambling. And there's also a bunch of sheep, and it said there was more sheep than people over there as well. There's also, does anybody know what far stick farming is? Heard of that? Okay. It's, in a brief, you guys have heard of people burning ground to do different things and stuff. So it's to facilitate hunting. I don't know how that helps, but promoting growth, plant growth, biodiversity enhancement, weed and hazard control, and landscape managing. So it's a common thing that they do over there. I don't know if they have a lot of other stuff. You know, they just have to get all that growth out. And the first seatbelt law was over there. How big is a baby kangaroo when it's born? Does anybody know? 5 ounces? What's 1 to 2 centimeters? That big? Well, the Church of Australia came through the endeavors of a young serviceman. I thought that was really interesting. And then, you know, another serviceman was converted, and that's how the Nazarene Church actually got started over there. And right now, great things are happening over there. And the most recent, let's see, I'm going to skip some of this. The only thing with the Nazarene Church, it's very sparsely populated over there. There's only 53 organized churches and 6 plants concentrated only in 6 cities. So, and them include Auckland, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. Anybody know that? No, I had no clue. And there's like 14 million people in congregations in these little, you know, these big city areas. But the sad thing is they are also known for their highest suicide rate for teenagers. And, you know, as parents, that's probably a very concerning fact because, you know, we all worry about our own kids, but to know that they have the highest percentage rate of suicide, it makes you wonder why. Something, you know, they're not getting something that they need. And it's almost half, so that's a lot of atheism in the country. And so as I was thinking of evangelism, there's a lot of work that we need to do over in Australia because, and I'm thinking, any of you, it didn't me. I was, like I said, there's only 5 churches there, big, you know, regular churches and stuff, and they're mostly in the big cities. But I was reading about a couple, and I'm not sure if they were missionaries, but they were pastors' wives, and both of them lived to be, can you put the pictures up of these 2 ladies, Ava, but they both lived to be in their 90s, and one of them come from a great home life, you know, got married, and this is the one, let me go to her first. This is Florence, and she is known as Flo, or Grandma, Mom, whatever, whoever she's talking to. But she come from a very, very tough home life. It was really sad reading about it, honestly. But as she grew older, she was known for her disposition, her willingness to engage with people, her gentle, hospitable spirit, and the belief that Mom had sweet, stable upbringing nurtured by loving relationships was false because she had a very rough start in life. And I'm just going to kind of summarize this up, but when she was a child, her and her mom moved to a mining town, and her mom had left 3 other children behind. So now think about that as a mom. How would you choose which children you want to leave behind? I don't know. But anyway, she didn't have a very good life there, and they lived in the toughest part of Coppertown. She never knew her father. And her mother had just arrived and had left those 3 children, other ones, and she met an older man, and then I think there was 2 more girls that come along. But after her mother died, she was placed in the Salvation Army orphanage. And believe it or not, she said them were the best years of her life because she had such a horrible home life. And eventually, she got to know most of her siblings. I don't know if she did all of them. But she met Roy. He was a country boy and when he was 18, but he had come from a religious background, and his mom said, now listen, when you get married and go out on your own, I want you to go to church, stay true to God and da-da-da-da-da and all that stuff. And so when they got together, he told her, he said, I promised my mom. So maybe we might need to make our kids promise us some things. But he said, I promised my mom that I would go to church. So if we get married, we have to go to church. So they did and went to, I think it was a Methodist, yes, it was a Methodist church. And Psalm 23, the Lord is our shepherd, we shall lack nothing, became her motto. And, they lived by that. But after they started there, then they started going to a Church of the Nazarene, and they really liked the holiness and, the call, and they got involved. And she said, being Christian, it was God's first in our hearts and household. We didn't have much, and we raised our first 3 children. We taught them to be happy with the simple things in life. Influenced by her own hardships as a child, she tried to make her children's childhood much better and teach them about God and everything. And not only that, everybody she met, especially if she met people, kids that were down and out, or even adults, because, sometimes you never get past that sometimes if you've raised in situations like that. She always had an empathy for people like that, and she was always reaching out to them and trying to show love and the love of Christ to them. And so from her bad early experiences, she used that to allow God to use her to draw people to Him and to be kind and effective. And in her declining years, whenever she was unable to attend church, and she hated that when she couldn't do that anymore, but she loved hearing the old hymns sung. She was intentional in becoming a prayer warrior. This reminded me of my mom so much. After Mom got her cell phone and, she couldn't get out like she did. And Mike can attest, some of you people in here text her regularly and made her day and would call her or text her and ask for prayer. And she would faithfully pray for anything or anybody that requested prayer for her. And, sometimes we see the big things that people do, but I think sometimes it's those little things that people do that can make as much difference. Praying for somebody can make a big difference in somebody's life. Who knows, your prayer may be the person that redeems them to Jesus to save them. And so never, ever underestimate the power of prayer. And if you're known as a prayer warrior, be thankful that God has called you into that calling. But she loved every family member and prayed for them. She loved the scriptures and gathered ladies on a regular basis to have Bible studies together. And her son, after she was gone, he was leafing through her Bible, and, it had all kinds of notations, and she read her Bible daily and regularly. So, even that was a testament to her kids that she left behind. They knew it, but, when you look back and you see handwriting of somebody that's special and dear to you, it means probably more than when you seen it the first time, because that was my mom, or she was praying for me, or whatever. So, but it was other people too. She didn't just do it for her family. And in her final days, and she did die from COVID, she had a challenging start to life. Yet by the grace of God, she became a conduit of love, laughter, and service. And her mission was to make sure that everyone had a place and was affirmed by the love of God. Boy, if we could all take on that mission, it would be great. You know, sometimes I do, and maybe you do too. We get caught up in our own life situations and, you know, what's going on around us and stuff, but we forget the next person may be hurting as much or more than we are, or going through things. So sometimes if God speaks to you about a person or brings somebody to your mind through the day, it's always a good thing to pray for them, because you never know. There might be a reason that they have crossed your pathway in your mind that day. So, and the other one is, she was 95 too, but she had a very blessed home life. Her and her husband were very blessed, but she and her husband, both of them, they were married almost 70 years, and that's a long time. Is anybody close to that in here? Lloyd and Linda, how long you guys been married? Oh, you have to stop that. Too long, apparently. Oh, wow. Yeah. Good. Anyway, you know, that in itself in these days is a testament, isn't it? But let's see. Yeah, she lived to be 75 or 95. They both provided sacrificial, sanctified service for 35 years of pastoral ministry to the Lord, with their lifetime of participation in local, district, and global levels. There you go, Pastor. That might be you we might be talking about in a few years. Their passion for their families, compassionate evangelism, and national, global, Nazarene global missions. The spark of love and holiness evangelism that ignited during a revival that saw dozens saved and sanctified, ultimately in 6 young men and their wives serving in a pastoral ministry in the Church of the Nazarene, still has rippling effects of that today. You know, and I would dare say, I mean, I think back of Elaine's mom. I think she was the first Elsie was my first Sunday school teacher. And, you know, I will always have a special place in my heart for Elsie. 2 reasons. One, she got me my first Bible, and that's when I learned to read the Bible. And then the other one was she loved missions, and she was missionary president forever. And then Elaine's mom, Edna, she was also missionary president, and she was just a tiny little thing. And but boy, she taught us little Sunday school girls, and she would have us out to her house, and I know we was loud and crazy, but you would never know it, the way they loved on us and fed us and stuff. And it wasn't a lot, but it was enough, you know, when you're young and you get to go someplace special. But those seeds were planted deep in my heart, and it's so important to plant seeds, especially in children. You know, they may get away from it for a little bit. But, you know, God keeps working it and keeps answering our prayers. And them aren't the only 2 people that influenced me, but they were the early ones in my life that probably helped get me grounded because of their love and compassion for me and stuff. So, anyway, I don't know if Mara, here I'm calling you your mom, Tricia, even remembers this. Your dad and Mom, they was going on a trip to Canada and up New York. And when your mom was little, he asked me and Carolyn to go with him so your mom would have somebody to play with. So did you know that? I didn't think you probably did. And so he took us up to there, and we got to see Niagara Falls and stuff and be with your mom by that trip. So, you know, there's just a lot of little things that people can do for you, and you remember them. You remember those little things. Perhaps Iva's most outstanding characteristic was her transparency. Who likes to be transparent? We all want to kind of hide our stuff, don't we? And we don't always want to be very transparent. There was simply nothing false about her in her approach to life and her dealings with others. After a lifetime of service and commitment to others, Iva has spoken more and more in recent years of her anticipation of the life to come. And you know, when you're young, I mean, I don't think anybody wants to die. No, you're just not made to want to die. But we all know it's coming. But the older I get, the less I fear it. It's not something I'm ready for yet. I hope not, but I don't fear it. And if God would, the doctors would tell me, you got da-da-da-da-da, other than the initial shock of hearing it and knowing you're going to be departing this world, God's heaven, He's preparing us, is way more wonderful than this world, and we can't fathom it, because it says, no eye has seen or heard what God hath prepared for those who love Him. After a lifetime of service and commitment to others, Iva has spoken more and more in recent years of her anticipation in the life to come. And at the funeral, he said, Iva May faithfully served Christ and the church for more than 70 years. That's a long time to serve in the church. As a pioneer member of the Church of the Nazarene in Australia, and as a faithful and supportive wife to her husband, John, as they pastored and served together. All those whose lives she influenced are testimonies to her effective ministry. And the title of this, let me see if I can find it. What did I do with that? Was, I can't even find it. It's Little Ripples, and can't never think of anything when you're right here on the spot. What was that song I asked you about today, Kathy? What is it? Oh, yes, it only takes a spark to get a fire going. And I remember hearing that song years ago, and I thought, that would be a good little song to end it with. You never know. You can ask God when you get up of a morning and ask Him, say, Lord, lead me where you want me to go. Help me to touch who you want me to touch and be where you want me to be and to make a difference in somebody's life. I know sometimes everyday life stress gets us all down. Sometimes that's been my week this week. But you still never know whose life you're going to be touching. So I am going to turn this song on, and we're going to listen to it. And like I said, I doubt very much that Elsie and Ed knew the effect that they had on my life. But a lot of times we're not going to know until we get to heaven. And that's okay. We'll have jewels, crowns waiting for us. But you got to keep doing the right thing. You got to keep touching lives. You got to keep praying for people and being your best at being a Christian. And we all have our days. I get it. We're sick. We don't feel good. Or it's just, I heard the pastor say a while ago, it had just been a rough, busy day or something. He had so much to do. And sometimes that busyness can be almost worse than sickness, because at least if you're sick, you're down, you can think. You're just always on the run, and we've all been there. We've all been there, and I think that's part of Satan's workshop, is keeping us so busy that we don't have time, maybe for the little things that could be more important than some of the other things we think are. So, okay, honey, have you got that ready? Did you find it? It only takes a spark. I think I sent it to you. We'll take this off. If I did, if you just type in, it only takes a spark to get a fire going. And there were several people that were singing it, but it's the message I want you to hear, not who's playing it. Does anybody have any, while we're waiting for him, anything they want to add or say? That's your other thing to pray for. Pray for Australia this month, for our next month and stuff. So. Do you remember what it was, Ruthie? Mike, I think you had something to say.
I just got two answers to your questions there. You talked about atheism in the United States. And they said it's at 5%, but there's a growing population of people called nuns.
Yes, yes.
They're not any, so they say that basically 28 to 30% of the United States population has no religious affiliation. at
Yeah.
all.
And they don't know kind of whether there's a God. They're just nothing.
It's the no preference.
Yeah.
You know, Ed, when I was in the military, I was in the chaplaincy, and one of the things that always drove me crazy was when on your dog tags you're supposed to put your religious preference. And we'd go to these units that are out there on the front line, and we'd be meeting with the soldiers, and we'd be asking, you know, what religious preference do you guys have on your dog tags? Trying to get a representation of this unit and their affiliation with the different churches, and so many of these young people just had none.
Wow.
And you know, we really try to express, you know, you may feel that you have no religious preference, but when it comes time for your funeral and what matters to your families, it does make they don't want to just say, well, you know, here's a you know, soldier gave their life, no religious preference, because, you know, that religious preference tells a lot about, you know,
Yeah,
things
that's
that they
true.
would do,
Yeah.
you know, to see them, you know, the Catholics wanted certain things and Protestants wanted others, so
Yeah.
it was important. So we really tried to express, look, you may not, you know, express any religious preference, but when it comes down to it, you know, you don't find atheists in a box.
I've heard that.
So,
If you're a true atheist, boy, I'm telling you, I don't know.
and your other question about tanks, lowercase t, that literally was an armored vehicle that they were referring to.
Oh, the tank. Oh, I never even thought about that.
The tank, but they had structured some kind of armored vehicle called the Centennial, and after World War II, they had, it wasn't many, 65 units were produced. So,
Well, thank you for looking all that stuff up. Did you find it, honey? You know what? I think oh, okay.
It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread His love to everyone you want to pass it on.
How I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found.
that song has a lot of meaning in it if you think about it. And the only way Christ is going to be seen by the world is through us. You think about it. That's a big task. And so let's do it. Okay. Joanne, would you lead us in prayer tonight, honey?